everyone, thank you so much for joining me in this video today. It's been a while since I've posted. It's because of my private life and circumstances. I've been extremely busy and finally I found some time to go into a reading for you. This time I want to go into a topic that we mostly deal with at some point in our life. Sometimes things just don't go the way we want them to go, and then the question arises, what do I need to change? So that is what we are going to dive into. Now, before I go into the options, I'd like to ask you to please support me and my channel. You can do so by clicking on any of these buttons down below. Share, comment, like, subscribe, and comment please. I love to read comments, and I might even answer if you comment beneath my videos. So let's get into your options. First of all, I have a different set of andaras this time. They are a bit bigger. The first one is this multicolored andara. It's a giant rock, but it's pretty awesome. That is going to be the first option. The second option is this tricolor andara. The third option is this purple andara. And the third option is this pink andara. So you can use the timestamps in the description box below to go to the reading of your choice. So I'll see you there. Bye. Hi there, you chose this magnificent, huge andara, and let's get into what you need to change. Now, I have this spread, and as you can see, it covers all life areas. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to change every area of your life. You should read this reading in such a way that whatever area of your life needs attention or improvement, or where things are not going well, that is where you can focus on. So I will address each area, but not necessarily every area applies to your situation. So in this case, you can pick and choose which life areas need a change and focus on these cards. Now, before I start with these life areas, I'd like to go in a general message reading for you. And I have used my herbiary and my bestiary cards for that. Now, the first two cards are from the herbiary, and we have, I need to read them, burdock and tulsi. This is the burdock and this is the tulsi. These are two plants, and the message of these plants are as follows. The burdock asks you to look at the things that light your inner fire, that evoke your passion, that make your soul tingle. It's also about self-care and understanding that you are your best friend and that you need to behave in such a way. And very nicely complemented by the Tulsi card, which the message is that you are sacred You are sacred. Your body is sacred. Your soul is sacred. Your heart is sacred. And these two cards together give a very strong message that in order for you to improve your life in general, you can take better care of yourself. You can take a look, excuse me, that's my dog. You can take a look at the things that evoke your passion, that make your soul tingle, that warm you up inside. Who are the people that you connect with when everything falls apart? These people that are able to lift your spirits up and make you feel better even though the circumstances have not improved. Excuse me. So this is about the resources that you have that can help you through difficult times, and also how you treat yourself, how you care for yourself. Do you seek out these things that can help you through difficult times, or are you curling up into a ball and sitting in a corner of your room, feeling sorry for yourself, not really paying attention to the things that can help you out of these difficult times? So pay attention to this, because these two cards tell me that you can and should, and in order to improve your life, really should take better care of yourself and look at the resources that you have around you that can help you to get the best out of your life. The other card from the bestiary is the cow or bull. Now these animals have different meanings in different traditions. First of all, they are about nurturing. We use a cow for our sustenance. We use their milk, we use their meat, and so they have a very important role in our own sustenance and nourishment. So this is also, again, about taking care of yourself and how do you nourish yourself. But this is also about digesting what others cannot digest. As you all know, or maybe not, a cow has 7 stomachs, and when they eat grass is very difficult to digest. So it needs to pass through all of these stomachs before it is able to extract the nutrients from the grass. And therefore, most animals well, except for some other few animals, do eat grass, but the cow is most proficient in it. So they are very proficient in digesting what is difficult to digest. So this may be a sign that you have a generally quite difficult life, that you have to deal with things that are very hard to swallow, very hard to digest, things that are a real challenge to deal with, and while dealing with that, still being able to feel good about yourself and the resources that you have in your life. And therefore, I would say in general, these are the things that you could pay attention to and be possibly even grateful for, because sometimes when life gets difficult, we forget to be grateful. We forget to be grateful for the things that are going well, or the resources that we do have, or the skills that we have, or the things that we can that other people cannot. So it's also about not comparing yourself with other people, because they are in a totally different circumstance, from a totally different past, a totally different experience, and therefore a totally different outcome. It is not fair to yourself to compare yourself with other people who are possibly doing better than you in your eyes, while you actually are doing better than they are, given the difference in circumstances. So don't be too hard on yourself. Now, let's get into the cards. The first card is the Moon card. It's about your home matters. Anything to do with your private life, your home, your family, your partner, your children, anything that is taking place in the home space. And there we find the Tree of Spells. And the Tree of Spells is about making things happen that will have a result that takes time to materialize. Sometimes you need to be a bit patient. You can put something out into the world. Like this woman is putting out her spells into the world, but the effects of the spells are not readily visible. It takes some time, and it may not even be what you envisioned. So it's about patience. It's about doing what you can and making investments, but that will take a little while before they materialize. So if you need to change anything in your home situation, I would say it is about patience. Don't rush things. Don't expect results the next day. Just let it take some time so that it can give better results for you. Practice your patience. Know that you did what you could, and then you have to take a step back and see what will come of it. So this is about patience. Don't rush things. Don't force things. Don't try to break things through that need to change gradually. I usually say you cannot make grass grow by pulling it. Rather, if you pull it, you might even pull it out of the ground and then it will die. So don't force things. Let things evolve and practice your patience. It might not be your strong suit, but it is definitely an advice for you if things in your home life need some change, and the thing that you can change there is practice patience. Now, if we look at business matters, we see the Six of Boons. And to me, this is very much about trust. This woman has run out of a very perilous situation into the snowy, dark woods, and finally, totally exhausted, she falls down in the snow and falls asleep. But if she was not protected by these bunny rabbits that came in to warm her, she surely would not have survived. So this is about knowing that the right help will come to you when it needs to be there. It's about trust in your business matter, in your work life. Trust that when the timing is right, things will be there. The resources that you need will be there at the right time. It ties in with this card as well. So this is about trusting. You can, again, like with the home card, you can do your part and then you need to release and trust that things will work out fine in the end. Venus for love and relationships, and there we find the Five of Boons. Now, the Five of Boons is showing us two kids who are hungry and cold, and they are sharing the last piece of bread with each other. While there is a solace in the form of this little house. This is in your love life. Are you isolating yourself? Are you keeping people at a distance? Are you kind of pitying yourself that you are alone, that you want to have a partner or a fulfilling love life? But what are you doing to realize that? You can, of course, like these children, stay out in the cold and maybe you will survive the night, maybe you won't. But there is someone out there that has warmth to offer, and a roof, and possibly food, and a blanket, and anything that you need to stay warm. So, are you going out there? Are you going out there and meeting people? And if you don't meet the right people, try to look elsewhere to find the right people. And don't necessarily go out to find your future husband or your future wife, but see if there's anyone out there that you connect with, and just leave it at that, and let the connection evolve naturally and see where it goes. But this is about, to me, in your love life, it seems that you are isolating yourself, that you are not really going in there, you're not really on the market, you're not out there. So that would be the thing that you could change if you want to in that part of your life. Now, for fame and achievements, we find the Tree of Visions. Now, this tells me that you might want to celebrate your successes more. Maybe you don't celebrate your successes. Maybe you think when things go well, that is the way it's supposed to be, and therefore you don't celebrate it. You don't attribute it to your own contribution, and therefore you're not building yourself up. So, and when things go wrong, most likely you are quite hard on yourself, blaming yourself for anything that you possibly did wrong that did skew the results. So the advice would be to celebrate your successes, however small they are. Now, if we look at adversity and opposition, we all face some sort of adversity and opposition in our life. But this card, the Six of Spells, shows us that you may be causing your own opposition. You may be causing your own adversity. This looks to me like you are giving birth to the circumstances that will be your opposition later on in life. So to me, this asks me the question, are you sabotaging yourself? Is there any way that you are self-sabotaging and therefore creating your own opposition and your own adversity? Try to look into that and see if that it may be true for you. Because that might be the reason why you don't have success. And it also ties in with this card. Because if you are yearning and looking for a love relationship, but you are not going out there meeting people, then you're kind of sabotaging your chances. And then you can beat yourself up over the lack of finding someone to spend your life with. Try to look into that. If you face a lot of adversity in your life, if you feel that every step in your life turns out in the wrong way, maybe you are in the way of yourself. Now, if we look at gain and expression, this is about what you can multiply, what you can achieve, how you can express yourself in the world. And we find the Two of Boons. Now, this is about balancing. This is about being careful. This is about not taking risks, or maybe you are taking risks. But then they would be calculated risks. So maybe you can take a little more risk. Maybe you can look for this dynamic balance. I mean, if you are walking over a bridge like this person is with a heavy load, with every step it's moving. Now you can try to manically keep the rod in your neck straight so that the load will not move, but then it's going to be very difficult to cross that bridge. But if you just sway with it and go with the flow and move with the tides, then you can go quite lightly over the bridge, because then you know where the weight is shifting, and you can dance with that in such a way that you won't make it harder on yourself, and therefore you are also flexible enough to avoid any difficulties around you. So maybe you need to be flexible. Maybe you need to go with the flow. Maybe you need to make life more into a dance instead of a struggle. Now, and if we look at the last card for the restrictions, we find the Moonlight card. The restrictions. Maybe you need to use your intuition more. Sometimes things in life are not very clear, and you kind of need to go blindly forward, not knowing what's in front of you. And that is exactly the time when your intuition is important. So are you listening to your intuition? Because you might be restricting yourself by not listening to your intuition. It's also a form of self-sabotage. Knowing very well that the thing that you're about to do doesn't feel right, but still continuing to do it. And then, of course, you're there with the results. So this is about using your intuition and feeling your way through situations that are difficult to understand. Maybe you are having unrealistic expectations. Maybe you have set your expectations so high that's impossible to reach them. Think about that. If you feel that you are restricted, that you feel you cannot go anywhere because you can't see one step further, of course, your intuition is always there. And if you find some silence in yourself, you can get in touch with that. And then your intuition will be able to show you if you set unrealistically high expectations for yourself that no one could sanely reach. So maybe you should take a look into that aspect a little more and see if you have illusions about yourself or your achievements or your goals, and see if you are actually listening to your intuition to help you guide through life. This was a reading packed with a lot of important information, and I hope some of it will help you to change whatever needs changing. I wish you the very, very best. Be blessed. Bye! Hi there, you chose this Tricolor andara. So let's get into your reading. Now I have used this spread, and the question is, what do I need to change? Now this does not mean that you need to change everything in your life, all of these areas. But I did draw cards for each area so that whatever area is applicable to your situation, that's the area that you can focus on. If the other areas in your life are all fine and dandy, then you don't have to change anything, of course. So this is about a little bit for you to cherry pick whatever area of your life you feel that things are stuck, you're not moving forward, or you're just repeating a certain cycle that you want to break through. And then you can see whatever card comes up there and tell you what needs to change or what you can change in your life. Now, I also did pick some general cards for you for my herbiary and my bestiary. So these are applicable for your life in general, for your general approach to things and life and yourself. Now let's get into that. The first card is the Blue Damselfly, and she asks you to commune with nature. So maybe you feel a bit unhinged, maybe you are living in the city, maybe you have a very busy life and you don't see the time, or you don't take the time to just go out in nature and just sit there and connect with everything around you, connect with the trees, connect with the water, connect with the clouds, connect with the soil, connect with the insects, connect with every living being that you are aware of when you are there, and try to harmonize, because that is how you commune with nature. It's also how you can turn back to your soul and retreat in yourself and see the real truth in life is not out there, it's in here. And through that way you can connect with every living being. And it really helps you to anchor yourself into your soul and your spiritual life. And the other card is the Tulsi card. And this asks you the question, are you sacred? Or rather, it tells you, you are sacred. And that is the feeling that you can find when you connect with nature. As you go out and you look at the tree and you look at it and think how long it must have been there, what it must have seen, the insects that are living in the tree itself, in its trunk, the birds that are living there, and the centuries, if it's an old tree, that have passed, that this or decades, if it's a not so old tree, that have passed, that this tree has seen. And you can connect with its energy. If you are underneath a tree, it will kind of, there is a science to it, and I do not necessarily know all the details, but to me, if I'm correct, it's about the tree releasing ions, negative ions, that will help you get rid of free radicals in your body that cause stress and aging. So there is a science behind it, and sitting underneath a tree is very rejuvenating. It really helps you to return to your center, to your soul, to your core, and to connect through that soul with each living being around you. And then, if you can do that, then you will know you are sacred. So that is the big advice here. Take some time to connect with nature, and through that connect with your own divinity, with your own sacred soul. Now, let's get into the areas of your life, and the first area is about home matters. And there we find the liar. The liar is akin to the devil card. So this asks me the question, are you in a toxic home life? Are you in a toxic situation at home? Are you in a toxic relationship? Are you growing up in a toxic family? What's going on there? Because it seems that you are stuck in a negative situation. You feel bound by it. Do you feel you cannot escape it? Do you feel powerless to change it, to change your circumstances? This card allows you to focus onto that and see the truth for what it is. The situation in your home life is not good for you. It's tearing you down. It's keeping you stuck and bound in a situation that's being controlled by someone else, that doesn't take in account who you are and what you need. Now, the trick in the situation is that usually when you are in such a situation, you feel helpless, you feel powerless, you feel that there's no way to escape this situation. But in reality, you can escape this situation. But it does take some planning, and you need to think it through carefully. Because also escaping can, of course, bring about all sorts of negative reactions from the people who are controlling you in your home situation. So if you are in a toxic situation, please find help. Look up how you can escape this situation. Save up some money. Make a suitcase or a bag with things that you need if there is a situation that you need to leave the situation immediately, that you can grab the bag and get out of there and have everything you need, like your bank, your passport, important documents, a computer, a recharger for your phone, whatever it is that you need to arrange anything that you need to arrange for yourself. Make sure you have it and plan your escape. Find a halfway house if you need to, or maybe you can escape to a friend. There's a lot of things that I can say about this situation, but I cannot go into it too deep because we have more cards to discuss here. But please look up on the internet. There is help for you. If you are in a situation that is toxic to you, you need to think about how you can escape the situation. And when that is past, when that is done, and you're in a safe situation, you can think about how did this situation even entered my life? How did this even happen? But that's the next step. The first step is to look at your home situation and see if it's toxic and if you need to change anything there. Maybe you can change it by going into relationship therapy with your partner. But if there's something else going on and your partner doesn't think that they have any contribution to the toxic situation, then you might need to escape the situation. So think about it. Realize that the situation you are in is not for your own benefit. If you can change that, you will change your life 180 degrees, trust me. It can be done. It's going to be difficult, but there is help for you. And if you are religious or spiritual, pray or meditate or make contact with ever higher beings that are there, because they are there and they might even help you out if you need. So the next card is about business matter and skills, and there we find the Three of Visions. To me, this is very much about the workplace, and it tells me that maybe you should take your work a little less seriously, work a little less hard, take a little less responsibility, and try to make more fun at work. It seems that you have very nice colleagues. Maybe you don't know them very well, but this card seems to suggest that if you take the effort to know them a little better and to improve the relationships, not necessarily about work, but just asking them how they're doing, what their hobbies are. Maybe there are activities that you can do with your colleagues outside of work that will change the seriousness of this and make it more fun and more enjoyable to go to work, because you're not just going to work, but you're also seeing your friends or colleagues that you appreciate very much, that you enjoy working with and have a lot of fun with. So this is about taking things not as seriously and just take a little more time at the coffee, how do you say that, the water cooler, and just enjoy a nice conversation before going back to your duties. So try to connect with your colleagues more and have more fun at work. Make it more playful, make it more fun for yourself. Make good relationships with your colleagues, so that work isn't as heavy. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what kind of work you do, but it matters how much you enjoy it. And you can make your fun. Fun doesn't just arrive, you need to make it. So That is the advice considering business matter and skill. Just make it enjoyable for yourself. Now, if we go into the love and relationship situation, we find the enchanter. And the enchanter, this is to me very much related to this card in your home life, because you are making decisions in your love life that are not complete. Maybe you see someone, this card is about the 4 elements. The mental element, the emotional element, the passionate and sexual element, and the earthly element. And if you go out finding someone to relate with or have a relationship with, maybe you are looking just at a few of these aspects and ignore the other things that might be a bit more problematic. For instance, you can find someone who is doing financially very, very well, but emotionally they are just appalling. But, you're just like, well, maybe the financial aspect can compensate the emotional thing. Nobody's perfect. Of course, no one's perfect. But maybe you are making decisions in such a way that you are ignoring red flags in persons that you relate with, and therefore ending up in toxic relationships and toxic situations. So you need to check all of these elements. Is this person matching me with intelligence and the way they see life and the way they deal with setbacks? How is this person affectionate? Are they affectionate, or are they cold? Are they distant, or are they too clingy? Is this person sexually connecting with me in the right way? Do we have the same preferences? Do we enjoy the same things? And not just sexually, but also physically, like is there a sport that you can do together, or any activity that you love to do together that will spark your passion in the relationship? And how about financial aspects? Are you very frugal, and are they just spending their money on all sorts of useless crap? All these things are signs to see if you connect with this person well. And to me, this card tells me that considering your love relationships, you should take into account all these aspects and match them up with you and see if there are any discrepancies or anything that might ruin the relationship or become a burden to the relationship. You need to match every 4 elements, all of the 4 elements, and if that works out, you will have a very good and long-lasting relationship. But if you say, well, 2 out of 2, I'll settle for that, then you are settling for a situation that ultimately is going to end up very unsatisfying and possibly even toxic. So this would be the advice to change regarding your love and relationships. Now, the next card, Fame and Achievements, we have the Child of Challenges. This is about thinking through. Maybe you feel that you don't have the success that you could have, but are you thinking your actions through? Maybe you are not carefully planning what you want to achieve, and therefore you're just doing things without thinking, and then you're expecting a certain result, not realizing that that result that you're aiming for needs a lot more preparation and a lot more thinking through than you did. Maybe you're the kind of person that just jumps into things full of enthusiasm and vigor to go into that. Yes, I would love to do that and reach that goal, and just go in there, and then suddenly you realize, oh my God, I need more education, I need more resources, I need a better planning, there's competition on the market, how am I going to deal with that? And all these things that need to be thought through before you act. So maybe you need to pause. If you see something you want to do or accomplish, maybe you should pause, think it through. See what steps need to be taken, what resources you need, the things that you still lack, and how you can get these things before you actually take the steps to reach your goal. Because if you take it that way, there's much more a chance that you will actually get the desired results. Now, if we go to adversity and opposition, we find the 7 of spells. And as you can see, well, both of these parties are facing opposition. The dragon is being poked by the angry gnomes, and the gnomes are faced with a potentially fire-breathing dragon. Now, whichever party you are, maybe you are the one that's poking the dragon, which is not very smart, and therefore you are creating your own opposition. Or maybe you are the dragon and you were tired during flight and you accidentally landed into this gnome village, and all these gnomes want you out of there because they are afraid that you are going to burn their houses down. In any way, if you are the dragon, there is a lot of restraint, because this dragon has is able to breathe fire. He could incinerate all these gnomes just with one breath, but he doesn't. He is aware of his own power and holding back and practicing restraint. So whichever side of this dispute you are on, maybe there's a different way of, maybe you should restrain yourself from acting out too rash like the dragon is, or maybe you should not poke the dragon. That's not smart. So, and if you don't want that dragon there, see if there are other ways that you can deal with this conflict without escalating it. Because the potential for escalation, well, that's very clear in this card. And to me it seems that if you face adversity and opposition, the trick for you is to deal with it in such a way that it doesn't escalate, and still both of the parties mostly get what they are looking for. So see if you can use more diplomacy in situations where you face adversity and opposition. The next card is about gain and expression, and there we find the Ace of Visions. As you can see, we have a swan on the water, and its reflection shows that the swan is wearing a crown and a medallion or a locket or something like that. Now, to me this shows that whatever we feel inside does not necessarily show on the outside. Maybe people perceive you as being very cold and detached because there's a lot of feelings inside that you're not sharing. So if you open up a little more, you will see that you find more coming in to meet you there. If you can show your feelings or make them known in such a way that people are aware but not triggered by it. So if you're angry, don't throw with furniture, but just state, I am actually quite angry about this. If you express yourself, then you give the world around you and the people around you the opportunity to deal with that and to find a way, like in this situation, to find a way so that it works for everyone. So maybe you're holding back on your self-expression, And maybe you feel frustrated because you don't feel you get what you want or need out of life. But if other people don't know what you want or need, how can they help you in that situation? So your self-expression is very important. It's pivotal. It's a key element in experiencing the positive gain that can be in your life. Because if you show what you feel inside without making it the other people's problem, they are most likely quite willing to help you or suggest solutions or ways that could work out for you. So you won't be so frustrated. Now, if we go to restrictions, we find the seeker of boons. To me, this tells me that you might feel that the things that you need are not readily available to you. Now, instead of complaining about that, you could also go out to find what you need. That's quite simply the message of this card. Seek your boons. Go out and find what you need. Go looking in the right places, of course. Otherwise, you won't find it. If you're looking for a boat in a bakery, well, good luck. But, so see if you feel that you're lacking things, if you feel restricted because you don't have what you need, think about where you could find what you need, or how you could find what you need. What do you need to do, or where do you need to go? It's about taking initiative to go out and fetch whatever it is that you need, instead of waiting for people to bring it to you, because that's not very likely to happen. So there's a lot of important information in this reading, and like I said in the beginning, not everything might be applicable to you. Whichever is applicable to you, I really hope it helped you, and I wish you the very, very best. Be blessed. Bye. Hi there, so you chose this purple andara. It's not really purple in this light, but it's really purple. And let's get into your cards. Now, I have this pattern for you, and it covers most life areas, if not all, but it doesn't mean that you need to change all of these areas. So whichever area you feel that you need to change is the area that you could focus on. And all the other areas, if everything's fine, just leave it the way it is, because don't fix what's not broken. But with any area that I'm going to cover, if you feel that you need to change something, that you're stuck in a loop, or you're not getting the results that you're looking for, maybe then you could focus on that kind of area in your life and take whatever this reading has to offer for you. So it's not about you having to change every area of your life. Just kind of cherry pick whatever cards in this reading feel are addressing the aspects of your life that needs changing. Now, I also used my herbiary and my bestiary. They're not really mine. I didn't make them. I just bought them. But I really like these oracles, and I use them also to get a more general thing that you could possibly change in your life in general. So it's about your life attitude and how you deal with yourself and the things around you. So first of all, we have the Eastern Oyster. It's about dealing with the dirt. It seems that you have a innate power to transmute whatever crap is coming your way. You are the person that can change a negative into a positive. An oyster is known for filtering the water. So whatever toxic and dirt and crap is in the water, this oyster is going to filter it out. And with the dirt, it creates a pearl inside itself. So that is the ultimate form of transmutation, isn't it? I mean, create a pearl from dirt and crap. You have this ability. And that this card is coming up is telling me that you quite possibly have to deal with quite a lot of crap. But are you actually using this ability? Are you transmuting the crap that's coming your way? Are you creating pearls from the dirt that you're filtering out? You have this innate ability to know what is dirt and what is not. And even then you can transmute the dirt into a pearl of wisdom. So if you can look at it that way, you might experience your life in a different way. If you have a lot of crap to deal with, you can complain about, why is my life this way? My life is terrible. I hate my life. All these things, and trust me, I've been there. I know these feelings. But if you have this ability, all the crap you're dealing with is giving you extreme amounts of wisdom. And that wisdom is a pearl that you can use. But think, don't throw pearls before the swines. That's another thing to think about. Maybe you want to help each and every one with the wisdom you've gained from your life experience, but a lot of people won't appreciate it, and a lot of people won't even realize that it's a pearl of wisdom that you're offering there, and they don't realize the tribulations that you had to go through in order to get to that wisdom. Don't blame these people. It's their life and the way they see life, and that may be limited. But there are people out there that can benefit greatly from your experiences and your wisdom. And we have the plantain card, and it has as title Rewild. And it is about seeing life as an adventure, seeing life as discovering all sorts of new things and going to new places and learning new things and seeing new things and being able to wonder and just, like a child can be completely enamored by a butterfly or an ant or anything like that. And they can watch it and with wonder and find that in yourself so that you don't have to see life as a drag through the mud, but you can see it as an adventure with monsters on your path and challenges and quests to do. And if you look at it that way, you will experience your life a lot different. And all these pearls you can see as your quest rewards. It's about the mindset that you have in dealing with sometimes the crap life gives you. And if you can look at it in this way, it will change the way you experience your own life for the better, much better. So that is the general message. Now let's get into the life areas. And the first area is the home matters. And there we have the 8 of Spells. Now, my first inkling is communication. Serious communication, quick communication. But it may be that you're lacking communication. Are you communicating well, or are you way too serious in your communication? And maybe you are attaching too big of a consequences to your communication, so that makes it really serious for you that the communication is right. Can you still laugh about yourself? Can you still just laugh about misunderstandings that happen between you and your family members or your partner? I mean, this is a parliament of owls. That's what it's called. A flight of owls is called a parliament. And a parliament, we know, is quite serious. It's about big things. It's about laws and regulations, and about human rights, and how to create a good and working democracy and civilization. Quite heavy topics. But is there still lightheartedness? And maybe you are very precise in your communication, like a government worker that needs to be very precise because of the judicial consequences. So, can you take it lightheartedly? Can you laugh about mistakes? And can you say, well, we can just dive into this topic and make it big and serious, or we can just say, oh yeah, that's it, and just have a laugh about it and continue on our merry way. So this is about communication. How are you communicating in your private life? It seems to me that you're taking things way too serious, making them really heavy and big, and I have some of these traits as well. I usually take things quite serious myself. But it's very, very important to balance that out with some humor and lightheartedness and just not caring, just picking your battles. And the real serious issues, yeah, you can use this. You can be serious and communicate precisely. But in other things, just, be a little more lighthearted and don't take life so seriously. And then the next is business matters and skills, and there we have the Two of Boons, which is all about balancing things out. And usually it's a dynamic balance, it's an equilibrium. If you're walking like this person over a bridge with a load on your shoulders, with every step, these baskets with woods are going to swing back and forth, and they have the ability to really put you off balance and possibly even sway you so that you fall off this bridge. So if you rigidly try to control the load you're carrying, you're going to make it really, really difficult on yourself. But if you can allow for some movement and kind of dance with it and go with the flow, then you will find that your step can be much, much lighter, and you can make this load work for you instead of against you. So it's I could summarize this in work smart, not hard. Use the dynamic to make it easier on you instead of trying to push through rigidly through a situation that kind of calls for flexibility and the ability to adjust yourself and sway and move with the circumstances. And especially in business matters, that is very important. If you have a business of your own, it's very important to move with the market, to move with the dynamic of demand it kind of escapes me now, the English word for that. There's demand and supply. That was what I was looking for. So you gotta move with it. The market is always moving, and you should move with it. If you are rigid, you will kind of break your own back in this sense. So maybe you need to be more flexible. Maybe you need to move with it and make it work for you instead of against you, and work smart, not hard. It would make your life so much easier. Now, if we go to love and relationships, we find the Liar. Now, this is a serious card. This to me tells me that you have a tendency to pick, well, not the right partner for you. You have a tendency to end up in toxic relationships, people who deceive you, people who lie you, people who control you, suppress you, deny you, and all these things. You can always blame the other person because they are actually doing the thing, but it's also about you remaining in this situation and therefore allowing the other person to just do all these things. If you are not intervening, and that intervention can have different forms, from having a good fight and standing up for your right and saying, you know what, I'm not going to put up with this, and then that might be it. But if you are in a serious toxic relationship with someone who's narcissistic or even worse, your only option might be to escape. And the thing is, with this kind of relationship, you usually feel yourself stuck because these kind of people have a tendency to make you dependent on them. So that is the real crux in this situation. You need to re-find your independence, and you may have to create your independence again. And that would entail, if you feel that the only way out of a situation like this is just literally escaping the relationship, that means that you need to take provisions and precautions. You need to save up money. You need to have a bag or a suitcase ready with all the things that you might need if you have to leave unexpectedly and might not be able to return. And all these precautions, and you need to find people that can help you out, people where you can stay the night, or people that can direct you to safe houses or things like that, if the situation really calls for that. So you might feel trapped and stuck. And it is quite a difficult task to just escape a situation like that. You just don't walk out of a relationship like this. If you do, it might even have a very nasty aftermath. So you need to prepare for this. You need to prepare, and you need to do it secretively, and you need to look at yourself, but you can do that after you have escaped. And if you're not in a relationship at this point, and you do recognize that you have been in this type of relationship, you can ask yourself the question, how? Why do I pick these people? Why do I attract them? Well, it's not really that you are attracting them, it's more that these kind of people are predators that know their prey. So if you don't act like prey, they won't come after you, so to speak. So there is certainly a way of looking at your own behavior, how you are enabling these kind of people, and maybe even attracting them without knowing, by exhibiting certain behaviors, or it could be your body language. It could be just these little remarks that you make. Maybe you feel all happy, or you're acting all happy, and you think you don't send out any victim signals, but these people, they have a nose for it. They can smell a victim in a mile. So you don't hide that from them. So there is work for you to be done. Psychological work. And maybe you need to deal with traumas. Maybe you grew up in a situation that made you feel like this is all you know. And so there is definitely psychological work to do if you want to stop attracting these kind of people in your life. And if you are in a relationship like that, plan your escape. See how you can get out of it. Because that is the first priority. And when you are out of it, then you can look back and look at yourself and see how this dynamic even came into existence. Now, if we go to fame and achievements, we find the fairy wind. The fairy wind is about direction, willpower, control, harmonizing contradictory impulses, or it's usually, this is synonymous to the Chariot card, which depicts very clearly someone who is controlling these two horses that are pulling the cart with their mind, with their willpower. They don't hold reins, they just, with their mind, know how to direct these horses, because these horses, one of them is black and the other is white, and they want to go in different directions. And if that is how you want to pull a cart, the cart isn't going anywhere. So you need to harmonize different interests. You need to harmonize the direction. You need to make sure that every nose is in the same direction. And it's usually about leadership. It's about willpower. It's about perseverance. It's about mental strength and strength of character. And not giving up until you have achieved your goal. So you need to set a clear direction and a clear goal, and then harmonize everyone involved or everything involved, and then persevere, willpower, strength of character. That is what's going to get you there. If you want to achieve something, it's not going to just fly by, that you can just grab it out of the air and say, hey, that's what I've achieved. It's very rare that it happens that way. Usually there's a lot of hard work, a lot of setbacks, and a lot of self-control involved in order to get there, because you cannot be distracted from your goal, otherwise the horses will go the other way. If you actually did, or if you know about riding horses or riding motorcycles, you know that wherever you look is where you go. So if you get distracted, then that is where you're going. And if you have a certain goal, then you need to keep focusing on that goal. You cannot be distracted. So if you want to achieve something, this is what you should change. Now, if we look at adversity and opposition, we find the child of spells. Now, we see a child here, and the child is kind of playing with this rabbit, and it's still very innocent right here. But you really need to be careful not to step over some boundaries. This situation could easily turn into abuse to the rabbit, to the animal, to the weaker party. This is also about experimenting and the willingness to discover things and mostly discover yourself and your own abilities. But you always need to look at the boundaries, because your freedom ends where the other person's freedom begins. So there is this fine line that you need to learn to navigate, and it seems to me that you might cross that boundary every once in a while, and therefore that is how you create opposition. Now, this little rabbit is not going to do much if this boy would ever hit it with the stick instead of sprinkle it with fairy dust. But, you know, if this was a person, that situation would be a bit different, because that person might react, and they might react strongly, and there you have your opposition and your adversity. So this tells me that you might need to look at, are you crossing people's boundaries and therefore creating opposition? Are you the kind of person that says, I don't care what people think, I say what I want, I do what I want, and then you wonder, why does everyone hate me? Maybe you're stepping on some toes, maybe you don't realize it, maybe you are crossing some boundaries that you don't quite really understand yet. So if you want to change this aspect of your life, see if you can figure out where these boundaries are and where your freedom ends and the other person's freedoms begin. So that you don't have to become the perpetrator. And you also don't have to victimize other people or antagonize other people. The next card, gain and expression, and there we find the Hermit. I am not sure if you are aware of this, because our civilization, our society, our Western culture kind of looks at hermits as strange, weird, not normal. Why are they must be crazy, or there's something wrong with them. We kind of see that extroversion is the normal, where introversion or liking to be alone is considered weird, strange, or crazy. But and that might deter a lot of people from following up on their inner desire for solitude. But to me, this tells me that against all of these societal expectations, you might actually find more self-expression and more gain when you are alone. If you are alone, you might get the best ideas, the best relaxation. You can enjoy a movie maybe even better on your own than when you're with friends, because you can ruminate about what you saw and philosophize about it and get ideas that other people won't get because they're too busy with the other people around them. So your gain is in solitude. Your gain is in reflection, inner reflection, looking back inside yourself, looking back on your previous experiences, ruminating about them, philosophizing, getting ideas and insight and wisdom. And once you've got these wisdoms, you can take them out and people will look at you, wow, you are a wise person. But if you don't allow yourself this solitude, you won't get there. You won't be able to get to these wisdoms and these insights and this knowledge about yourself and the world. But you do have the ability. And if you want more gain of the things that resonate with you, or that belong to you, or that fit with you, solitude would be your friend and not your enemy. Maybe you should take a little more time alone, to enjoy things alone. Go to a walk in the woods alone, read a book alone, watch a movie alone. Just sit by the fire and drink a nice glass of wine alone and see where you end up. Ruminating about yourself, your experiences, your past, you might get brilliant ideas. And let's go to the last card is the restriction card, and there we find the Enchanter's Wheel. Sometimes the bigger destiny cannot be changed. It changes in itself, but you cannot change it. If a wheel is turning a certain direction, it costs an incredible amount of energy to get it to turn the other way around. First, you'd have to slow it down and entirely stop it, and then you would have to move it and gain momentum to get it to turn the other way. Now, that's practically impossible. Most people won't be able to achieve that. So this is about knowing what you can and cannot change in life. Maybe you are frustrated because you're trying to change things that are part of your destiny, and therefore they are unchangeable. They will change within the time while through the experience of your life. Maybe you need 20, 40 or 60 years to look back and see why the situation was and where it led to and where you are now. I know this is quite airy-fairy, but some things in your life are unchangeable, like the family that you were born in, and how you were treated by other people, or the locations that were were there where you could go to. For instance, if you don't have a library in your town, you won't be able to read as much books and therefore not learn certain things. That's not your fault, and it's also not something that you can easily change sometimes. Well, you can also move to another town where they do have a library, but that incentive will only be there because you lack it. So, I find it very difficult to vocalize this, to really explain this very well. But sometimes it's only later in life that you realize why you did have certain experiences or why you did have certain people in your life. And these things were unchangeable. You cannot change the behavior of other people. You cannot change the country that you were born in. Yeah, you can move out and immigrate to another country if you feel better there. But you can never change that you were born in a certain place from certain parents. You cannot change the upbringing that you got. You cannot change certain experiences that might have had a profound effect on your life. And therefore, it's wisdom to know what you can change and what you cannot change. And that is the restriction that you need to be aware of. If you know what you cannot change, you won't be wasting energy there. You will just go to change the things that can be changed. So, I do hope that this reading was useful for you, and I wish you the very, very best. Be blessed. Bye! Hi there, you chose this pink andara. And let's get into your cards now. I used this pattern, but it doesn't mean that you need to change every aspect that's being addressed here. You can kind of choose whichever area of your life you feel that you need to change something and just focus on that card or cards in this reading. So I'm not saying that you need to change in every aspect of your life, but if you feel that you experience difficulties or feel stuck in a rut or feel that you are constantly repeating a certain pattern, or you need a breakthrough in a certain sense or in a certain part of your life, then that is that is the card that you could focus on. And you don't have to go over every part, but there may be information in there for you that's valuable as well. So you can just kind of cherry pick whichever card you feel is applicable to your situation. Now, I also did pick two cards for a general way of dealing with your life or looking at your life, or things that you could change or improve in general to change and improve your life. And the first card that I got is the spotted skunk, and this tells me to stand up for yourself more, but also in a way that you don't cause harm. You can just set very strong boundaries and just protect them. This spotted skunk, whenever she feels threatened or her boundaries are threatened, she stands up on her front legs, like you see in this picture, making herself very big, looking very threatening. And she can also use her glands to excrete this very nasty smell that's usually enough to deter anyone who has ill intentions. So, and she's not causing harm that way. There's no bloodshed, there are no harsh words. It's just a threat and a very nasty smell that's enough to keep anyone at a distance. And that is a fine balance that you might need to find. Maybe you don't stand up for yourself enough, or maybe when you do, you do it too hard, too strong. Maybe you are hurting people in the process, and that's not really the best way to go about it. So you kind of need to find that balance where you do stand up very strongly and make very clear that you will not accept any crossing your boundaries, but without hurting the other person. You can get the message across. So if you could change that, it would definitely change your interactions with other people and the quality of your life. And the other card is the dandelion, and this is about perseverance. The dandelion is one of these flowers that can grow practically everywhere. They might even grow on a rock if they get the chance. I've seen them grow in the weirdest of places, and they seem to thrive everywhere. Now, you might think, yeah, but that's easy for that plant because that's how they were made. But maybe you were made that way too. Maybe you don't know how strong you actually are. And maybe you're just giving up too soon when things get difficult or hard. This card asks you to persevere, not give up, even if circumstances become difficult. There's always a way, and you will be able to find it as long as you persevere. So don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your goals. Stand up for your boundaries. You will be able to thrive in the most difficult of circumstances. Now, let's get into your life areas. And the first card is for the home matters, and there we find the oldest one. The oldest one in your home matters. I really need to think about this one for a moment, because the oldest one is the advisor. That is the wise one. That is the one who has the connection with the higher divine, with God or the universe. That they can be of advice when dealing with different difficult life circumstances. So it might be you that need to find this person in your home life. You may have a grandparent or a parent or someone else who is very wise that can help you and give you advice, and maybe you're not using that enough. Or maybe you are the oldest one and you don't see it from yourself, and you don't really value the wisdom and the guidance that you can offer. Maybe you are dismissing the advice that you give. Maybe you are the kind of person that says, well, I would be doing this or that, and then say, I could be wrong, and I don't know. Maybe you are just not sure enough of yourself to realize that you do have some very strong and important wisdom and knowledge to offer. And maybe you need to ask help from others, or advice and guidance from others, or maybe other people could come to you. This is also about a connection with the divine, with God or the universe. Maybe in your home life, dealing with the things in your home, you could use that more. Maybe you could reconnect with God. Maybe you could reconnect with the universe. Maybe you feel cut off, and maybe you feel a bit lost and adrift in this noisy, loud and flashy world that we're living in. So this is about the spiritual connection that you have, that you could use to help others, to help yourself. Or maybe you need to seek someone out that can offer you this. Maybe you can go to your church. Maybe you need to pay more attention to the spiritual aspects of life, to give it meaning, to give it guidance. If I go to the business matter and skills, we find the Moonlight card. And the Moonlight card, this card shows us the rabbit's erratic behavior at full moon. When the moon is full, rabbits rapidly and strangely jump all over the place, looking like they're crazy or they're mad, like the Mad Hare. But is this how you behave when it comes to your business matters, your work, or skills? Someone's lighting fireworks around here, so excuse me. So, is your behavior erratic and illogical? Are you just going from here to there and then the other way and never achieving or accomplishing anything real? Maybe you should kind of settle down and connect with your intuition, because your intuition is the thing that can guide you through situations that are not clear or that you need to feel your way through. Maybe you could use your intuition more to distinguish foe from friend in business matters, and then you don't have to make these erratic moves to offset any possible enemies that are trying to cause harm. So this is about intuition, using your intuition while you are in a confusing or confusing situation. It can also be a warning that people are deceiving you, and that is why you are making these weird jumps from one place to the other to offset these people. So this can also be a warning for deception in business matters. Why are these people able to deceive you? What weakness is there? What does your intuition has to say about that? If you can take a moment to sit still, possibly even under a full moon, and meditate, maybe you get into some insights and see how you can achieve more calmness and more stability and more security in your business matters. If we go to love and relationships, we find the Weaver of Spells. And to me, this tells me that in love and relationships, it seems that you are attracting people that need your energy. They might be energy vampires, but they also might be very fine people who are not energy vampires, but they are seeking you out because they know you can help them grow. And it does tie in with this card as well. So this could very well be the card that refers to you and not to someone in your environment. So you have the ability to support and to help people grow, reach their biggest potential. And that draws in certain people that need that energy, that need your help. And you might feel in your element if you can help people get the best out of their life or out of their skills or situation. So it seems to me that your love relationships are usually based on helping the other heal, helping the other achieve their goals, be in supportive roles. And everything is fine with that as long as it doesn't come at a cost to your own goals and your own dreams and the things you want to achieve. There's always a balance needed in any situation. And if you are the kind of person that is very self-sacrificing for the goals of your partner, you will end up very, very unhappy because you didn't pay attention to your own growth, your own development, and your own goals. So there is a balance to be found there. But it means that most of your relationships will be affected by this dynamic in one way or the other. And it's up to you if you feel fine with that and if you feel happy doing that, or if you feel frustrated needing to sacrifice your own goals and needs for someone else's. So if there needs to be something changed, in this love situation, it would be that you need to find a balance between self-sacrificing and supporting other people, and also expending your energy on your own goals and things you want to achieve in your love relationships, to be clear. And if we go to fame and achievements, we find the seeker of boons. Now this tells me that you might be disappointed in life because you didn't achieve what you want to achieve, or you don't know how to achieve. And this card is telling me that you need to go out into the world. You need to seek and find your treasure. You need to go out and look for it. It's not going to come towards you. You need to come toward it. You need to go out. You need to prepare yourself. Make sure that you have all that you need to accomplish what you want to achieve. And also you need to look into the right places. Go to the right places. If you're looking for mushrooms, you need to go to the place where mushrooms are growing. If you go to the beach, it's unlikely you're going to find any mushrooms there. You might be deeply disappointed. I did go out into the world, but I didn't find what I was looking for. But that might be because you weren't looking in the right places. Now, the next card is about adversity and opposition, and there we find the sunlight card. So this is the card, is usually a very positive card, and I would be inclined to say you have no opposition and adversity, but I do want to give you some advice in case you do have adversity and opposition. And the advice in this case would be to look at things from the brighter side. You can, maybe you have the tendency to have a kind of fatalistic way of thinking. You just assume that everything is going to turn out for the worst for you. Maybe you're a bit negative or feel a bit depressed, or you don't have very high expectations. You always think that people are going to cross you, things are going to turn out against you, and that's a way of looking at it. And if you look at it that way, you will find confirmation for it. But the other way around is also true. So if you have a positive outlook, you will also find confirmation for that. So if you have a choice between being negative and fatalistic or positive and optimistic, well, the obvious choice, of course. Your life could be so much sunnier and so much brighter if you could look for the positives in every situation. And even if there is adversity and opposition, there's always a silver lining on every cloud. Just try to find that and see what you can get out of the situation that's positive instead of negative, because we have a tendency to see the negatives more clearly than the positives. So in this case, you would really have to look for the good things, but they're there. And if you have this way of looking out into the world surely looks very different from a negative outlook. So be aware not to fall into pessimism, but rather choose the optimistic way of looking at things, and you will see that most of the adversity that you experience will melt away like snow in the sun. Now, if we go to gain and expression, we see the Enchanter's Wheel. To me, this tells me that over the course of your life, as you grow older, you will become more self-assured in your expression, and you will also see what you gain out of life. And when you're younger, it may not always be clear. You may see yourself in a situation, and maybe you even have a bit of a pessimistic way of looking at it and thinking, wow, I have a sucky life, everything goes wrong, I have terrible parents, I have terrible friends, and everything goes wrong, and I don't seem to get what I want. And you don't understand when you're younger why this is or what you can get out of it. But as you grow older, you will certainly see what effect this life has on you and the benefits that it also brings. This is also the card about destiny. So in my opinion, this means that you will certainly reach your destiny, but you will reach it when you're older. You could be a late bloomer. You might need more time, but it's also it's your destiny. It's just what's going to happen. It's written in the stars for you. And over the course of your life, you will find your own expression. You might not feel that you fit in society very well, and that's because you don't know yourself very well yet. But over the course of your life, as you gain more knowledge about yourself, and you can use that wisdom that you have in yourself, you will grow into this very strong and powerful oak. And you will have so much wisdom to share. But it may take some time. But I definitely see success for you, especially later in life. So don't give up hope and realize that in your case, success is going to be defined differently than most people define it. It may not be in a lot of money or a big house or a fancy job or things like that. It may be different. It may be more in a spiritual connection and deepening of your experiences through this spiritual connection and living from your soul. And these are things that you generally only come usually after 40. So you may have, if you're not that old yet, you may have some time left before you might be able to see what is the real success for you in life. So don't give up. Persevere. Persevere. Now, if we go to restrictions, we find the 9 of Spells, and there we see someone who's restricting herself in order to protect herself. Now, this is a very strong message, and I will definitely acknowledge that you might have very good reason for protecting yourself. You may have had experiences that taught you that you are not safe if you're not protecting yourself. But realize that when you do that, you are also restricting yourself. So if you feel tight, if you feel restricted, if you feel you cannot move, maybe you should look at ways that you protect yourself, because protection is also restriction. This witch is drawing a protective circle, but as soon as she steps out of that circle, she feels unprotected, so she will remain inside her small little circle, never going out. That might feel very cramped up and very restrictive. So, if you feel that way, realize that maybe you need to let go of some of your defenses. Maybe you should take a risk and go out into the unknown. And possibly, you might come across some things that are not as nice, and maybe that will spark in you the urge to protect yourself. And if the need arises, you can surely protect yourself, but you don't need to protect yourself all the time. If you realize that and you can put that into practice, you might be able to create a lot more room for yourself, where you are much freer to go about and do whatever it is that you want to do, and just knowing that when the need arises, you can protect yourself. You don't need to protect yourself all the time. So, I hope this reading gave you some insights and answers, and I wish you the very, very best. Be blessed. Bye!